Hello. You are listening to the Carroll Connection with your host, Jared Carroll.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Carroll Connection. I'm your host, Jared Carroll, here to bring you guys another great episode. Did want to take a chance to shout out my last episode 231 with A. He is a vocal engineer as well as a musician. And on that episode, he talked about why he got into music and kind of falling off of it and then falling in love with it and working on the projects that he's been working on. And it's a really great episode. If you want to check that out, go to thecarrollconnection.simplecast.com. Also available Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the major listening platforms. If you like to watch your podcast, go on YouTube, search the Carroll Connection or at Jared M. Carroll, and it'll pop up for you. And if you want to be a guest or return as a guest, hit me up on Instagram at Jared M. Carroll or at the Carroll Connection, and we'll set that up. And as well as plugging the 5 Pillars of Creating a Meaningful Life. If you want to buy the book, you can buy it on Amazon and only Amazon. And if you like the book, please submit the review on Amazon. It goes a long way in the algorithm. And it helps me. So switching gears now, bringing us to today's episode 232, bringing in a guest, Brennan.
How you doing?
Welcome to the podcast. I appreciate
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Coming a long way a little bit, coming out from Boston area and like getting down here and doing this and finding me on social media and actually reaching out and wanting to do this. I really do appreciate that because it kind of some way validates, I guess I'm kind of doing something in the algorithm to reach people like yourself and that you had an interest in doing this. So I'm really excited about this. So tell the people kind of who you are and what you're doing currently.
Sure. My name is Brennan. I am from Boston, native to Boston. I currently live a little outside of Boston. Um, I currently live and work in Massachusetts, as I've been for the last couple of years. I went to school about it's crazy how time just picks up and flies by. I went to school about 4 years ago, and I currently work in Massachusetts, right around Boston area. So
Nice. And did you mention what you do?
yeah, so I'm an actor, a model. I'm also a realtor, and I work in the service industry as well.
Perfect. And we'll get into each one of those kind of like towards the later in the podcast as we build your life story here. And I think that's perfect. And there's a lot of stuff to dive into
Yeah.
with that. So as I was telling you off podcast, I like to start with family dynamic. And for any new listeners, I always explain kind of why. And I give this kind of same cliche where I think of like in terms of talking about family dynamic and your life story, I always use the reference of building a house and like I talk about like the foundation of a house. And for better or for worse, like our family is that foundation and kind of which we build our life upon and grow from. And I think it's good to talk about family dynamic. One, because I think it differentiates this podcast and we kind of get a little bit more intimate into kind of where you're coming from. And it allows me as well as the audience to kind of hopefully see a little bit of progression of kind of your life story and like how it starts and like everyone's family dynamic is different, so I feel like it's important to kind of at least talk about it in terms of the story that we're telling here. So with that being said, with whatever you're comfortable with, can you go into your family dynamic?
Yeah, definitely. I would say, I mean, my family dynamic, and more specifically, I guess, in what area would you like me to explore?
We'll start like early life and then if you as we progress we could progress towards other stuff
Okay.
with whatever you're comfortable with,
Oh
obviously.
yeah, no, of course. I feel like I'm just trying to. I feel like I'm just trying to navigate where I begin. Actually, I would say my family. I have a really great relationship with. I have a really great relationship with all of my family. We're very close. We all literally live within 20, 30 miles of Boston. So I feel like I don't even know a life without my family. I can't even imagine, to be honest with you. Um, we're just so close, and we have such a big family on both sides. So I found myself kind of hitting walls when I did move away to school. It was like such a shock because of how I kind of living in a bubble, not a bubble, but like, having the family by you all the times. Then all of a sudden you're in college and you're like, whoa, like this is a little new, So yeah, I mean, me and my family, we um, have always been super close. They've been very supportive of everything that I've wanted to do in my life and all of my endeavors and all of my aspirations. And yeah, I'm very grateful, very blessed to have such a strong family. Um,
Did you have any siblings?
I do, yes. I have a twin, not my twin, but my brother and sister that are twins. Yeah, they're 3 years younger than me.
That's
I'm
crazy.
the
Like,
oldest.
how is that? How old were you when they were born?
I was, I think, 3 or 4.
3 or 4. How
Yeah.
was that growing up having twins and like the household and being the older sibling?
I mean, for what I could remember, I just felt very I don't know, I was like, I feel like younger kids, they get a little bit of jealousy when you're younger. You're like, "Oh, well, I have to now share everything with these new ones crawling in. Like, what are you doing?" No, I mean, I never really I got along with them. They have a very, I think, special relationship because, you know, they're twins and I'm the older brother, so I kind of was always a little bit of the outlier in a way.
Yeah, I definitely relate to that. I've 3 brothers. My oldest is technically my half brother, but it's my brother,
Yeah.
and, always looked up to him, but he was only with us on the weekends, so it was a little bit of a different relationship. I'm the oldest, for, like, my mom, and I had 2 younger brothers, and I was always fighting for the attention, like, as soon as they got into the picture, and then obviously, I was mentioning my youngest brother has autism, and
Yeah.
I don't think I fully understood it back then. I was a little bit older. He was born in 2000. I was born in 95. So, like, little bit of a gap, but young enough where I don't understand like what he's going through. And it took a few years to like get the diagnosis and stuff like that. But being like the firstborn, at least in the household at that time, most of the time, always wanted the attention on me. Like if I have like home videos and stuff like that, I'm obsessed with the camera. I'm always like, cause my dad always had a camcorder, and like I'm super blessed that he did. And recently, we actually just converted all the old VHS tapes to like a USB drive, and I downloaded them. I actually had some go viral on TikTok. So I was posting like nostalgia Christmas stuff, and like really kind of like made me feel, put me in my feels a little bit. It's like how pure life kind of used to be without like we had technology, but it's really the internet and social media. I was actually me and my fiance were talking about that recently of like how bad social media has like had an impact on people, but there's almost like there's so much good to at the same time where it's like I don't know how you balance that. So it's like sometimes I wish that we could just delete social media and just get rid of it completely. But then you displace so many people that have created a career and have livings like they earn their living on that, and it's how we get information now. Like I don't know if we could go back to that. And like just this conversation's making me think of that. It's like how different things were to which they are now, and I'm like it makes me frustrated because like I had such a good childhood. Like I really appreciate the way my parents raised me with like a healthy amount of technology where I didn't feel like I was behind once I got into school, but enough where I had a childhood. I would go out and ride bikes with my friends, and like we'd play in our little cul-de-sac and like play manhunt and do this other stuff. And we weren't worried about like the perception of others necessarily, like besides like our peers and stuff like that. We didn't care about what was going on social media. The only thing that happened as I got a little bit older was like a little bit of Facebook, a little bit of MySpace. I remember YouTube early days before I even had like social media, and like making silly little videos on like I had like an LG Dare, and like it was like a first touchscreen I ever had. And me and my friends would take our he had like a gorilla mask and like a Peter Griffin mask, and we just make random silly little videos. We didn't post them anywhere, but like we thought we were so cool and so fun. And like now it feels like everything's so performative. Like people go on social media and it doesn't always feel so authentic. And it's frustrating and sad that we've kind of pivoted from that, where people feel the need to even do that to try to earn a living because they want to escape what they're going through in their day-to-day life, and they want to live this lifestyle, which isn't a bad thing necessarily, but it just shows you the huge difference that we're seeing in, like, I guess, kind of how we were raised versus how this next generation is going to be raised. It really does make you think and appreciate certain aspects of your life and how things kind of grow and develop over time, you know?
Absolutely.
Do you We're going to pivot a little bit, but
Yeah.
pivoting into like kind of like more a little bit more childhood and growing with it. Um as you kind of get a little bit older and you're going through the motions, like, did your parents put you in any activities or hobbies, or did you develop anything or play sports to like kind of like make friends and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I did a couple things. I did track. I also did a little bit of theater, and um I did separate acting classes like outside of school as well to
Did
kind of
you want to do that, or did your parents put you into that?
I wanted to do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to do pretty much all of it. Um and I also had a really strong group of neighborhood friends around my house. So we would play manhunt. We would be out all night. Like we would just be playing all these games. It was just so fun. It was so different even back like 2016,
Hmm.
2015, like when I was in middle school and late elementary, like just a different time. It was such I don't know. And I think that's probably because I was younger, so I'm reminiscing on that a little bit extra. But yeah, so to your question, I was involved with multiple groups in school and out of school. And just within my neighborhood, I had a strong friend group happening.
Did you do track and field? Like, when did that start?
I feel like what can remember, like seventh grade and eighth
Seventh
grade,
grade? Nice, nice.
something
Did
like
you
that.
continue that into high school, or was it just middle
No,
school?
I stopped. Yeah.
Is that where did you start pivoting to more like focus on like acting or like theater and
Yes.
stuff like
Oh,
that?
100%. Yeah. And then
When
I felt like I fell out of some things. Like I
Mhm.
didn't really stick with a lot of the activities that I was doing because I was kind of like, I don't know, I felt like I was just trying to like grow and like figure out who I was. And there was so much going on in my brain that I was like not focused and not really caring about an activity, to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
that makes total sense.
And I also went to a really hard private school in sophomore year of high school. And it was so hard that I had to leave and go back to my regular public school in my hometown. My parents wanted, I guess, to push me into a new area with new people, with new opportunity, and I was great. I mean, I really liked the school. It was just really hard. Like I
But
literally had no energy and no time to do anything.
like the academics were like super
It was
challenging.
yeah, it was like, and then like they had a great theater program. I'm like, how am I supposed to do theater or anything right now when I'm being swarmed with work? And the work was a lot. It was a college preparatory school. It was
Mhm.
getting you ready for college, which it was cool. It was very different from a regular school. It was really hands off, and I really liked that. But it was hard. And I was, you know, I think I was struggling with that and juggling that. And then my friends back in my hometown, were keeping me like busy and stuff. And I was always just hanging out. We were doing crazy shit, like, good stuff. Just not always good stuff, but good stuff. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's part of life. So that was my experience through high school. And, high school was definitely cut in kind of the middle, honestly, because of COVID for
Oh,
me,
really?
which was very sad. And I think that my class is probably still reaping the effects of it to this day. And I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about what COVID did to like a lot of, the generations even upcoming,
We
like
haven't even seen the effects
a
yet.
second grader like losing second grade, first grade in person and on a laptop. Like, no, like, I mean, I thought of our generation to be like, the 11th and 12th graders to be really affected too. But then I thought of it and I was like, yeah, I feel like the lower grades also, like, I have to be quiet because they really were affected. But yeah, I was sitting in class. It was a normal day. It was chill. Last period. I could tell you the whole story. Like I was sitting there and the bell didn't ring yet. We were very close to ending the day and the loudspeaker came on and there was some weird energy in the air. I felt off. A lot of people felt weird. But it was a good day. It was like a really good day. I had a really good day. It was spring, it was in March. This is in 2020. Everyone felt something coming. We didn't really know what was going on. Nobody really knew anything. And then all of a sudden, the loudspeaker came on and literally was like a 2 minute like monologue. The principal was like, our schools are closed for 2 weeks. This is a very serious thing. And a lot of my classmates were like, woohoo, like we didn't know. Nobody knew. You know what I mean? The teacher I thought was interesting was like, I think he had a bad gut feeling, but his intuition was talking to him. He was like, guys, this is not funny. Like this is bad. And we were all, and I felt weird. I didn't really jump for joy. I was kind of feeling like I was feeling a little weird for sure. And my best friend who sat beside me in that sat beside me in that class felt weird as well. You know, we both felt weird. So that was a whole journey. That was a whole journey that was unexpected. Total shift in the universe to a whole nother universe, literally, of a life that we ended up having for 2020 into 2021.
I don't think people actually talk about this enough. Like
No.
people, I don't know if you've seen the jokes on social media. It's like, oh, someone who was supposed to graduate during 2020, and they're like, I didn't have a graduation. Like that's a big deal. Like they make the jokes and the memes about that on social media, and like I've seen that, or like they didn't have a prom and stuff. Like those are big things. Like I don't know where we got into society where we underplay the value of those experiences. Like these young students deserve to have that experience. Like, I got all those experiences and like, yeah, sure, I didn't like going to prom. I didn't care about graduation as much, but those are like in the moment you don't care because you're like fucking high school or like you're like, "Ah, I don't care." Like you're trying to be cool and like, but that stuff matters. Like those are experiences that like help you grow and develop and socialize. And specifically what you're talking about, like losing years of education, like in person, and like the way that people have handled that since, like, it's very disconnected, like and we've gotten a little bit closer to getting back to that, but, like, you see the mass exodus of teachers from the workforce and, like, the way that they talk about students and parents raising these children and, like, how, like, almost rude some of these kids are and, like, they don't care about the education all the time, and it's sad because, like, we disrupted the way that we have always done education and people lost a lot of important years. Like I guess I don't never even thought about like how valuable like those elementary days are, the middle school days are. Like you think
Yeah.
of high school immediately, but nothing, like you don't think about those younger kids.
Yeah. I think that there's a bigger agenda going on. I
Mm.
think there's something weird happening with the public school systems. And I mean, I think teachers are at their wits' end. I think a lot of these kids have a lot of developmental issues. I think that the technology that we are handing a 2-year-old to just like, yeah, you know, and that's a parenting choice and that's a choice. um the accessibility of that technology, you know, in the parents' hands to then just give to the, you know, the toddler or whoever. um it's just kind of disturbing, to be honest with you. And that is going to create so many issues. They don't even, I don't think some parent, and I'm not speaking for parents,
Mhm.
but there's, you know, a lot of people, you know, a lot of parents that are my age actually, which is, that's fine. But a lot of people, yeah, I'll say people, a lot of people don't understand like how damaging giving an iPad to a 2-year-old and letting the 2-year-old do whatever they want with it for hours on end, how damaging that is to a younger child's development, and the reliance on the technology and the technology revolution happening before our eyes, which can be a good thing to an extent. But I felt like and I'll say this, I think that my generation, the 11th and 12th graders in 2020 and 2021, we were like among the very last generation coming out of high school that didn't really see a lot of technology. We were on the very cusp of it. We got the Chromebooks in high school. They didn't really bother us in middle school and younger grades. Like we were at the very end of that time to the beginning of the technological time that we're in now with public school, or where all schools or a lot of schools are relying on this for younger kids. So that, and being out of school and losing social skills and many things like that really just did it in for these kids.
Yeah, you make a really good point. Actually, is like that since because obviously when things go remote, technology really does have to go into that education system where like I mean, I graduated in 2014, so I guess I'm a dinosaur when you hit like those memes on social media, but like the we had like the laptops and all that stuff and it sounds like what you were explaining right there is very similar to kind of like my high school experience of like we have technology, we use it, but like it's not necessarily always coming home with us either. Like I see a lot of like local town groups like when the especially the snowstorm, like they give them like the MacBooks or the Chromebooks or whatever, like taking those home and doing distant learning. Like we would have never thought to do anything like that like 10 years ago, obviously. And like I'm glad it hadn't happened until 2020 because I don't think distance learning is good for younger kids. Like when I got into college and I had the option to like do online courses, that was awesome. I appreciated that because there's
Yeah,
flexibility and I'm an
right.
adult, I could choose that. But like when people are younger, like they need to be in person. They need the eye contact. Like it's like we forget how important it is to like talk to people and look people in the eyes and like understand tone and like how like they're expressing themselves and moving their body, like that stuff matters as a human being. And like with the internet, with social media, with technology, we're like forgetting that and separating that. Like when you see someone on a screen, you're like, someone on a screen, it's a celebrity or a famous content creator, whatever. Like that's still a person. Like it's a human being. They're no different than you. Like that's someone like that could be you. Like, but we look at it differently because we see it through our phone. And that's a scary thing that our brains are not like completely accepting that, especially these younger kids where they idolize these people because, like you said, they get a tablet at 2 years old and they can navigate it better than like old people, and it's insane that we just allow children to have access to this stuff because like it's beneficial in some stuff. There's definitely some good things of technology, like you were mentioning, but I think it's starting to do more damage than actual good with a lot of people. And I mean, I think we could just look at society and the way that things have been handled the last like 5, 6 years and how people interact with each other. And like, especially as they start graduating and like the way our societies run, like there's a lot of, how do I say this, terrifying things that we're starting to see in the way that people interact with each other. And I think it's a direct correlation with like that 2020 timeline and COVID and then these younger kids coming into this world and it is scary and like I don't think we do talk about it enough and how impactful it was for
Right.
people like yourself and even younger. And we're not
And
going
then
to see that.
AI too. I mean,
I mean, we could go in a whole another conversation too
well, I
about
just
that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, AI is, that's scary too, and how it's going to take so many jobs and so many careers. So all these people who have degrees, who went to college, are in flooding in debt, their jobs are gone because of AI. That's a whole other thing. But it's like, so I went to school um, right after COVID for theater. Worst time to go to a college for an art. I was in a mask. Like I don't even know how I was doing what I was doing. And there were things that happened. I just, didn't have a great experience where I was living at the time, going to school. So then I decided it was best to come home at the time. My parents were, I think they were a little bummed that I didn't, keep going out there. And, when I left Massachusetts to go to college, I think they were like, you know, what's going on? But there was a lot going on at the time. So I needed to just recenter myself, get my intentions squared away about what I wanted. And actually, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit
Yeah, go
because this
ahead.
had something to do with it too. After March 13th, like I said, the day with my teacher telling us that we were going to be out of school. Yeah, so we didn't go back full in person into my high school until the end of April of 2021. That is 1 year and 2 months that we were not in person in my school. And then all of a sudden, we are expected to go into college where we literally have not been around people in over a year. So that was something that I felt I was kind of like rebellious at the time. I was very ready to like leave leave my hometown and try something different and break the norm and do something different than a lot of other people, I guess, to say. Even because of COVID, it made me even more fiery that I was like, you know, I guess sitting in my head in that time, ready to just because when you're sitting at the time of during COVID, we weren't doing too much. We were trying to make the best of it, hang out with a couple friends and make the very best of being in a quarantine situation and then going like slowly hybrid. And I didn't do the hybrid. I was going to wait till we went back in person completely, which didn't happen until April, the end of April. So then that really affected me as well during college. So and I just felt not ready to be where I was. But I met really great people when I went to school, and I don't have any regrets. I learned that life is going to take you in all these different directions, and you learn lessons and you grow from every experience. There's no such thing as regrets. But that's what I had to learn that through the years of you know living and learning new things and learning things about myself.
I think it's good though that you took that leap to go somewhere else because like
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of people do that. And like I was telling you my story off the podcast, like
yeah,
I don't become the person I am without moving to Texas and going to Georgia. Like even though like you could hypothetically say like I failed in Georgia, like I didn't complete the program and like all those things, it made me a better person. Like it put me on a path where I got on this like self-discovery to like truly asking myself the question of like who is Jared Carroll? Who am I? And without that question, I'm not here sitting talking to you on a podcast for episode 232. And I wouldn't have wrote a book. I wouldn't have over 6 years of podcasting and made so many amazing connections with people and maybe even have motivated or inspired people that I don't even know to this day. And like that's something I'm very proud of because of something I went through that I hated. Like it was an awful experience. Like I don't know if I've had a lower experience in my life. I've had some pretty low experiences, but like in terms of like my own like career and like life path, like that was probably one of the lower moments where I was like what am I supposed to do? I felt like I was sold a lie. Like I did all the right things. I went to college. I was a good student. Like I took the job in another state and here I am like basically crying to myself like how much I hate my life. And in that moment I had to make the hard decision and push back against like what my parents originally wanted. I was like, no, you should stay there. It's a good job. Like you should not leave a good job because like I mean it's kind of how they're raised. Like if you work all the way up and you finally get into a good career field, like you don't leave that. You shouldn't leave that. But like when you're talking about like mental health, like you got to do what's right for you. And like sometimes it's disappointing people because you have to take care of yourself. And it's disappointing them, but at the same time, you have to understand like they also want the best for you too. It's just what they think is best for you isn't always what's best for you. And sometimes it takes like pushing against that. And it's hard, especially if it's like someone like your parents or if you have like really important.
anybody.
Yeah. Like it it changes you though. And it's good. Like change is good and it's necessary. So like when I hear you talk about that, it almost sounds like it was like a pivot point for you.
Yeah, no, oh, totally. It was, and then it's when I came home when things started falling into place. Actually, I needed to leave and come back.
Take me on that journey. Like so when you come back from college, what do you decide to do from there?
I was in a state of panic. I didn't know what to do. I was not myself. You know, I would say I was at a crossroads in my life where I was feeling a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of regret. I felt like I let a lot of people down. I felt like I let people that helped me to go to that specific college and school. I felt like I let a lot of people down, and I carried that for a long time. And a lot of people didn't understand what I was going through. At 15 years old, I was diagnosed with severe OCD. Severe OCD. I say that not lightly, not your general type to say, like, oh my God, I just have to clean this. I just have OCD. Like, unfortunately, like, that is not OCD. 90% of the time, that is not OCD. Um, OCD is a neurological brain disorder that people get, usually it could stem from something or it could be passed down. Genetics, hereditary. I believe that mine was genetic. I have theories into my family who might, like, I did kind of a deep dive and analysis on, like, behaviors from, like, my, the generations before me, like, in my head type of thing. I wrote a lot of notes, and I kind of came up with a little, I guess, what's the word, hypothesis on, like, where it could possibly be coming from.
Mhm.
But then I have many other theories as well in my head. I'm like, because I was at the point where I was like, I wanted to know, like, where and how I got this, but it really got bad when I was 15, 16. So I basically went on a lot of medication through high school. Um, so the medication was helpful at the time. I was like, going to classes, I was hanging with friends, but, there was a lot of me missing. And that was part of why I left a lot of activities, a lot of hobbies, creative things just slid right away from me during those years because I was just not mentally. You kind of feel like you're like a robot, like you feel very robotic. So when I went out to college, I was at a pivotal point and I literally was like, I'm done. I don't want to take this anymore. And I threw them all down the toilet. And I was like over it because I felt very disconnected. I was angry at myself and angry that I felt like this. I was like, why am I feeling like this? I am out here in California. I'm trying to go to this class. I can't get up. I can't focus. I feel very disconnected. And why am I in this brain fog? Like, I don't understand. So in moments like that, you rebel and you do things, and I did that, and it took about 6 months, and I started to completely wane off of it, and I should have waned off of it. The right way to do it is to wane off of medication.
Mhm.
I was on medication for 5 years, so the half life was 6 months. That's a long time to have a half life for medication. So it took 6 months to get out of my system. And then once it got out of my system, I was having severe panic attacks. My brain didn't know what to do with itself because I was having medication, be pumped into me for years. So I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I felt like I had medical conditions. I felt like, and this was the OCD going rampant because it had been dormant. It had been pretty much just swept under the
Suppressed.
rug by a lot of meds. The wrong, I would say, and there's no right and wrong way to navigate mental health, but like with the condition that I had when I was 16, it was really bad. But they did put me on a lot of medication, not like a little, not really like alternative ways, maybe not like, no one even said anything about, like, God forbid, a genetic test or, a better understanding of my vitals or certain vitamin deficiencies that I might be deficient in, or like, a brain scan. It was never that. It was, and I had a good doctor, but the doctor, based off of what the doctor studies and knows and what they do, is okay, we're going to create a plan and we're going to prescribe you X, Y, and Z. which is great, and that's fine. But I was on those drugs, I'll say that out loud, for way too long. And when I went into college, I had enough of it, and I shouldn't have done that. That's what caused the, you know, the withdrawals to be horrible because I literally just decided to do that. But I had no choice because I felt nothing and I felt very zombie like and robotic. And and I wasn't myself. And a lot of people met me at that time, and I was nice and I was there and I was present, but no, I just wasn't me. I wasn't me at all. And so when I came home, I kind of was in a really weird position where I was like, I was having such bad panic attacks. I couldn't sleep. My brain was like completely like not wired correctly anymore because the medication had just done so much more, actually more damage. Think about it, like anything to do to prevent medication intervention in the first place is very important because what is the medication going to do long term? What is it going to do? And a lot of people have strong opinions on it. I dealt with, very horrible side effects from medication and then even worse getting off of it because I obviously didn't do it the correct way. But also, I would be experiencing this, I believe, anyways, at a certain extent. You have to do the same thing, anyways. It's just the impact in that moment's going to be different. And the impact for me was bad. So then I realized I needed to first, before I worried about school, a job, a career, I could care less about acting in anything, being on a stage. I didn't care about anything. I was literally shaking the moment I woke up in the morning. Like, that is what I was thinking about. Why am I like in this mental state? This is not normal. This is very erratic. This is very crazy. It's scary. I don't even know how to explain it. It was just like so scary. And then I did find through my mom was going to somebody for her own health and wellness and stuff like that, and she was talked about me, her son, like my son's going through all this like crazy stuff and just it's not fun for him, like, and then she didn't really say much about what I was going through. And the woman was like, "Oh my god, I want to bring him in. I want to see him or whatever." My mom was like, "Brennan, like, I did find this doctor. She wants to talk to you about your mental health." I was like kick rocks, like really, like no one gets it. Like I don't know what to do. I was looking online. I was doing a lot of research on like maybe I should be going on a different medication again. Maybe I should be, and I would talk to my psychiatrist and my therapist, and he was honestly great guy, but very useless and wanted to put me on other things. So I went on a couple of other things for a while. Maybe I had a placebo effect. It was like, ooh, this is working. I feel a little bit better. And then I was just hitting a wall. Nothing was helping. Like I was just I was not using my brain in the way to help myself. My brain was in just survival mode because of the lack of neuroplasticity in my brain. Like there was nothing. There was no like, you know, ways of the brain to understand that there's no threat happening. There's nothing going on that's going to hurt me. No, I'm not dying of something because I have a rash in my leg that's not cancer. Like, but that was like what I was going through was it was erratic. It was crazy. It was very forced. The normal person would not look at something and freak the reaction, the response that I would have come to me was just crazy. So, anyways, so she found this woman, and I was skeptical. I went to see her, and she's very into alternative medicine. So I was like, okay, interesting. Like, all right. And she's like, and I was one of her first young patients to do this. So I was like, what are we doing? Like, she's a hoot. She's crazy. She, in a great way. She's a brilliant woman. She is, I don't even know how to explain her. She had this like white coat coming in with her red heels, red lipstick, with her hair everywhere. Like, and if she watches it, she knows what I'm talking about. She's like a queen. She is. She has all these different ideas, different perspectives on health and life and wellness. And, we get into such deep conversations in an appointment. It's crazy, as her assistant's knocking on the door, like, let's go. Cause they have to like remind her, like, you have other people waiting for you. But the thing is she just like goes all in her appointments with the patient. Like, she's just incredible. So she took out these long, kind of like funky looking cords. And I was like, oh, like, what's this? And she's like, just watch, just see. I'm just going to show you something. And she had like a fake, like, head, human, like, what are they called?
Mannequin type
Like a
thing?
mannequin head. Yeah. With different points on it. Like, I think to like show like your brain and like different points on your
Okay.
brain. So I was like, oh my God, this is so interesting. And she was like, yeah, like, this is what I'm gonna try on you. And I'm like, can you explain a little bit about it? She's like, sure. I just want to do something really quick. And I'm like, okay. I had so many questions. I was sitting there. I was so interested in what she was gonna do to my head. I was like, oh my God, this is so interesting. So she put two things on the front of my brain right here. And I sat there for a minute, and then she like moved them back. She moved them back even further, back here, and then took them to another 2 seconds and put them back here. So I was like, what was that? Like, what are you doing? And then she pulled up her laptop and she was like, you don't sleep at night. And I was like, okay. I go, thank you for telling me that. I don't. Uh, you can't sit still. You can't focus. You can't. Oh my God. She was like horrified. And then she looked at my chart, like on my chart on your health documents, and she was like, "Why are you on clonidine for blood pressure? Why are you on all this?" I go, "I don't know." And she was like, your brain is dead right now. It's off. Like, your brain is not turned on at all. And I was like, "How did you just do that?" And she was like, so I'll tell you. She wanted to literally tell me what was going on. I've never had someone sit across from me and tell me how I felt and it be correct by the exacts. I was always like dying for somebody to understand, and nobody understood. And this woman who doesn't even know me just drew up my brainwaves on a little screen and told me exactly what was going on. And I was like, this could have been useful for the last 6 years. I don't understand like why this technology is honestly suppressed and not put out there, totally by design, in my opinion. Because what's big pharma when they don't make money? And so she wrote a whole book about big pharma and how big pharma is a money evil industry that preys on a lot of innocent people that don't know they're being manipulated, their body, their DNA. I could go in on that, but and that's not a conspiracy theory. That's, unfortunately what is going on in the world. And money, when money comes into the picture, greed is also there. And that's what a lot of people, I'm not saying by intention, I'm just saying a lot of people are practicing off of what they go to school for, what they know. All these doctors are learned a huge, beautiful packet of information about what they're studying. And that's that. And that's that. There's no other questions. There's no other alternative, possibilities for something that could be healing you. There's no other options or perspectives on possible ways of treatment. It's just, this is what we know. This is what. So I was fascinated by that. I was like, this is very interesting right now. So I went back to her. So she didn't do anything that day. Went back to her the next couple weeks. And the next week she goes, all right, now today, last session I scanned your brain. I have your brain waves on here. Now I'm going to actually push brain energy into the electrodes that she put here, and then move to here, into the different parts of your brain. And I'm going to hold it down for 20 seconds, and you're going to close your eyes. You might feel tingling. It's just the energy from it's a little box. It's connected to the laptop. The box is reading the signals of my brain, and then as it's pushing new signals into my brain, it's recording that. It's recording everything, and it's pushing it all simultaneously right back to the laptop. So she's seeing in real time my brain waves and the new energy going into my brain. I just was like so shocked. I was like, this is insane. And I did it for about 2 to 3 months, and I felt like I did a lot of crying. I had a lot of releasing. I had a lot of deja vu. I had a lot of dreams. It was like my brain was cracking. It was waking up, and it was connecting. The energy of life was actually working, and it was just so cool. And she was like, it's called neurofeedback. It's energy medicine. It's designed to push energy into the brain so the brain can ultimately connect the different parts, and the whole brain is working as a unit, and there's no blockages. The medication I was on was actually suppressing the brain and cutting my brain in literally in half, and it was suppressing a lot of your emotions and your receptors. It was blocking all that. That was a side effect of the medication. It will take away your anxiety, but it will surely take away all the other emotions of life, which is how I was dealing with that. So it was incredible, and I have not stopped doing it. I do it once every 3 months now for maintenance into 2025, into this year. I'm actually seeing her in like 2 weeks.
That's honestly amazing. And on top of that, I appreciate you sharing this information too, and especially talking about mental health and like the way that people, and not to like shame people for talking about, but, like almost pretend like they have mental illness, or like for me with my brother who's autistic, when people throw around that they're autistic constantly and they're not actually autistic, that stuff bothers me because like you don't fully understand the stuff that like families and people who do have autism go through and have to like deal with, like watching him struggle and like understanding, like he's pretty high functioning for someone who has autism, but like he's never gonna have the same type of life that like I could have. Like it's going to be different. Like the way that he interprets the world is not the same as me, and like he was years behind his classmates for most of his life. And shout out to his teachers, they did a fantastic job, and my mom actually pushing doctors for diagnosis early, because early intervention saves. Like that needs to be said completely, is like if you see the signs with your younger children, like get them help immediately, because my brother graduated high school, works 2 jobs now. Like he doesn't drive, but he got an electric bike to get him to his jobs because he wants to be independent, and he's like doing everything that he can to be that. And like that doesn't happen if he didn't get the attention at an early age. So when people use these terms lightly, it does damage to people who actually have these illnesses or these things that they have to see doctors for. Like when social media people on social media throw this stuff around, it does damage. And like hearing someone like yourself actually explain this and talk about the side effects of the medication, because like I have people in my family that have dealt with mental illness. I'm not going to go into their own personal stuff, but it changes them. The medication changes them. It might help for a little, but it's not long term either. Like they use this
No.
like blanket like system, and it's so archaic and damaging, and like the effects are long term, and it's not just the one thing that they're fixing. Like it's wrecking a lot of other stuff and who they actually are as a person. And it's sad when you see people that you care about go to doctors that they think they trust and then become a different person because of that. And sometimes, a lot of times, it's worse than what they used to be. And it's sad that we resort to these medications so quickly. And I agree with you in the way that pharmaceuticals and healthcare is. Like, it needs to be revamped completely. Like, I'm very big on exploring like holistic medicine and stuff like that. And it's funny when they say alternative medicine. I used to say this on early podcasts. Like, it's funny how that's called alternative medicine, or like people talk about like healing mushrooms or like different like chakras and doing all these different things that the ancient civilizations did for thousands of years. But that's not like that's medicine. We look at it as alternative medicine. We call it different things instead of calling what it actually is, which is legit just medicine.
Yep.
And it's just interesting that the way that society has gone with this and turned it, and a lot of people are suffering. So when people hear your story, I think a lot of people are actually gonna really resonate that with that. And I think it's a powerful thing. And I just appreciate people like yourself that are willing to like actually share this stuff because
Yeah.
it needs to be heard. And
Yeah.
there's not enough like light on this because, like I said, it gets suppressed because other people are almost like cosplaying as people with
Or
actual true illnesses.
know-it-alls.
Yeah.
All these fake people online and it's like, and that's the thing is like, I even say to people, I'm like, don't go online to even like self-diagnose yourself either. Don't ever do that. Like, and I was doing that, but I have a severe, I was going through a severe mental health illness. So it was honestly like a living hell for me because I was believing that I was having all these problems, and it was my mind, it was my mental illness that was so horrible, and it would make you believe real things, and that's what certain mental health illnesses are capable of doing. The brain just doesn't understand that there's no threat. The brain is in this constant mode of fight or flight, and you can't necessarily just turn it off. And even with autism, it's like a neurological condition. It's like you can't just turn it off. You need to work to live and accept, and acceptance, and also just working with it. And then there's many ways to try to like reduce it. And I mean, I'll live with OCD my whole life. I do know that. Now the severity of it is going to be decreased because my brain was fortunate, very blessed to have done what I did, found out a lot of information about my own brain, my own consciousness, my own, stance of being and existing, and um, finding love within myself, actually, too, weirdly, helped my OCD. A lot of other things that are much more powerful than drugs help me on a spiritual level, which in turn help my mental, physical. So it really allowed me this treatment. I think my brain just was able to be turned on in a different way, and I was able to definitely access myself more on a spiritual level as well. And that really helped me. And I really like went through time where I didn't know much about spirituality. I didn't really care on the medication. I just was like, what's life? Who cares? Like, so it's like when I did get off that medication, I was like, I felt like I could think things that I never thought of before. I could think about different things, different ways, responding to things different ways. It was weird. I would almost, people get weirded out when I say this. If I would get mad at something, my old reaction to being angry at something, I could somewhat feel the old reaction and almost like look at it, and then I would pivot and have another reaction because I had so much more space in my brain. It's like the episode of SpongeBob when all the files in his brain are on fire. Okay. His brain was like a little attic.
Yeah.
Okay. So imagine having an attic filled with dust in your brain and cobwebs and files and cabinets and furniture and random shit everywhere. All of a sudden, when the cabinet starts to get cleaned up and all the files and everything starts to move out, imagine it all kind of clearing out, and there's a window behind the couch and the cabinet, and there's a whole ray of sun that is entering that window, and you've never seen that sun before. That is elevation in consciousness. Elevation in consciousness. So I find it very weird that we're in a society currently, and this is kind of my journey into now, where I've been grateful to get back into acting, get back into everything, start to feel good inward about myself. And the inner world of yourself matters way more than the external world. We live, by day in external validation, external, external, external. Does it work? Does it not work? Does it not work? And realistically, everything's coming from within. Within is where we need to find the the peace and the alignment within ourselves, and then things start to make sense. Then things start to go like, oh yeah, why did I react like that in that such time? I understand now. I just wasn't understanding. So there's that level of consciousness that, and a lot of people, I probably maybe lost some people already talking about this, but the whole point is the elevation in consciousness was the key to life, genuinely, like that I never really knew about. And that treatment not only eradicated almost 80% of the OCD and how it was affecting me, but it was elevating my consciousness. It literally, my brain began to work on another level of consciousness. Like, it's not about the external world. It's about the inner world. And then it's like me and you could be sitting here. You could be having the worst night of your life right now. I could be having the best night of my life. Two different experiences. The light could be bothering me so bad. Oh, I hate this light that's flashing on me, and this, it's too much. You could be like, I love this light so much. Everybody has a different response to the external world. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's all about perspective. It's all individual. So finding the inner conflicts. Do you know what I mean? It's not that the world sucks. The true colors of the world are currently coming out, yes. Which is why I think it's very important that we all start looking inward, because we're in the time of revelation. We're in a revealing time in human history, human consciousness, human spirituality. There's so much forces of darkness that are literally trying to suppress us, and it's not by what you think, it's by conscious suppression. Keeping us enslaved in the mind is the ultimate. I don't want to say like complete goal. I'll say it. Yeah, I think it's an ultimate goal of the um external world and the superficial things happening are meant to always make us search for external validation through social media, which doesn't help. Running and chasing people and trying to be like other people and not finding our own inner spark, inner self, finding who we are, who our soul is. And what you said to me earlier in the pre show, when you were like, I just kind of felt like this is what I was supposed to do. Well, it was. I mean, your soul was meant to come here and to talk about the human experience and help humanity in some way. And the way of helping humanity was talking about motivation, mental health, positivity, you know?
Yeah, and I feel that honestly on like a super spiritual level, and like a lot of the stuff that you're saying, I 100% agree with, and I'm aligned with the way that you feel the world and see the world. Like I feel that, and like I had to go through that on my own like spirituality journey, and I won't spend too much time talking about me and
Yeah,
stuff, because I want to
no.
get back to because we're getting towards like the back end of the podcast. I want to make sure we get to
Yeah.
the your acting, your modeling, and do that really
Yeah.
quickly, because like I didn't want to derail, because like I thought what we were talking about was super important, and like I
This
didn't
was
want
so
to, yeah,
important.
and
Like,
like we
obviously, yeah,
needed to hit that, and
yeah,
like because
of course I'll.
we're obviously doing the life story, and I'm like, so there's so many good things happening, and I'm like trying to squeeze it all, like
Yeah, yeah,
get all the
yeah.
juice
I
out of
get
it.
it. Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
I 100% agree, and like people need to wake up to what's happening and wake up to fixing the stuff on the inside, because like I always say, if you can't figure out and work on the stuff within you, like nothing else is nothing else is gonna matter. Like it's all gonna be superficial. It's all gonna suck. Like everything's gonna be negative. Like you have to focus on fixing the way that you think about the world, and like what you think and what you like constantly obsess over manifests itself. It's real. Like almost every single like religion and spiritual like thing
Gotcha.
talks about it. Like they all talk about it in different ways. Like my recent like obsession is the term omnist, which is you believe a little bit of everything when it terms about like spirituality and religions. Like there's a little bit of truth in everything. And I you could say like, oh, it's like you're toe in the middle with like spirituality and religion. It's like no, I think I can appreciate and respect and like understand they're all trying to talk about something like on a higher conscious like level. And they're hinting at it and they're talking about it in different ways. And obviously human error and human elements get into it and they take it the ways that they
Mhm.
take it. But like they're always talking about this nature of consciousness and like there's something there that people aren't fully grasping. And I think the younger generations are starting to wake into that. And I think we're forcing the world to like realize that we can see this. We can understand like the evils and the good that are here and like there's more to this. Like this body will die eventually and we go somewhere. Like whatever you believe, we go somewhere else and like this energy travels somewhere and we have to understand that. And I think not enough people talk about that and realize that and it's all related like all the topics we've talked about so far relate to each other and like are intertwined in the same thing and I don't know. I just didn't want to derail it, and I want to like pivot a little bit because I want to like
Sure.
get to the other stuff real quick.
Absolutely.
But
But yeah,
so
thank you for listening to that
yeah, no, I think
that
it
part of my
was
journey. It does connect in very like has a lot of influence into where I am right now,
yeah, and I thought
you
like that's
know.
exactly why I
And I
wanted to
wanted to
let you get
share
the
that
full story
with
out, and I didn't want
people.
to interrupt and derail it at all because I feel like it
Yeah.
was really important to like get that out and lead us into this piece where obviously you go through all that and you start feeling a little bit better. You pivot towards like your careers now. You're getting back to your passions, acting, and you've gotten into modeling. Like, talk to me about that and how much that's meant to you, and like some of the success that you've gotten from this.
Yeah, so I feel like with a newfound sense of confidence and like feeling actually like I'm capable of what I want to do and I'm not incapable of honestly anything. We all are capable of anything, you know. So that's where I'm at right now. I am not where I completely want to be. I'm a little bit stuck, being honest. I see my life to be up here and I'm like, how do I get there? You know what I mean? But I'm trying. I'm submitting myself. I'm putting myself out. I'm doing everything that I possibly can. Like, and I'm very grateful for what I have. I'm very grateful for my family, all the people who have, stood by me and supported me. And I'm just very grateful for where I am. And that's, you have to have gratitude for every piece of your life. Reflect, look back, have gratitude. And that was when the blessings are just going to keep coming and looking inward. So all of that really helped me. So hoping to grow with my acting, hoping to grow into more modeling. Um, I did win Model of the Year in Boston last year, so that was cool.
It's kind of a big deal.
That was cool. Um, so that was really really fun. The whole experience, you know what I mean?
Pretty humble, honestly. I'd be bragging to like the moon if I won something like that. Like that's a pretty awesome thing to like
Yeah.
to have that and like and take it for what you want. From my perspective, I think you're doing a great job with what like
Thank
I see.
you.
Look at your Instagram and like I'm a big believer that like obviously I'm shitting on social media throughout this, but like in some way, like it is a resume. Like whether people want to accept it or not, like how you portray yourself on social media is how people are going to interpret you. Because like not everyone has time to read the full book. It just is what it is. Like I hope you read my book, but like it's
Oh, I
not.
definitely will read your
I'm just
book.
teasing, but like
I definitely will read your
I
book.
think the
Absolutely.
way that people are like they assume that everyone's gonna read their book, like, as, like, a person, they're gonna know everything about you and understand you completely, and that's just not reality. Like, most people are never gonna fully know you, if at all. So, like, what you portray yourself on social media is what people are gonna look at and, like, take as you for the most part, and, like, understanding that we're trying to put our perfect self out there, but also understanding that that is also you. This, whether it's what you want to embody, what you think you are, what you are, doesn't matter. It's all one. And how like came across your social media when you reached out and all that stuff was like, this guy's got to figure it out. Like you're doing the modeling, like they're good shoots. Like from my perspective, I mean, I don't know shit, like, but I think what you're doing and like hearing, like now we're here hearing your story, I think you're doing awesome. Like I think you're on the right
Thank you.
path. And I think
Appreciate that, man.
the
Thank you.
way that you were honest about when you're saying you're feeling stuck, I feel the same way. I feel the same way with this. Like
Being
I've been doing
honest.
this for, like I was walked you through my whole life story. Like this past year, it's been struggle since I've released the book. I've been struggling with this. Like it's hard to like find the motivation. Like I when I released the book, I hit 200 episodes, had over 20,000 downloads. I had 5,000 years, 5,000. That's crazy. 5 years of podcasting, and then I wrote a book, and I was like, what do I do now? Like I feel like I did all the things that I was like set out to do, but like what now? And like that's part of it though. Like you just keep going. Just keep doing the thing. Like does it bring you joy? Yeah, I do enjoy doing this and having conversations with someone like yourself like reignites the fire every time when I have a great conversation on a podcast and we can get into like especially stuff about mental health. Like obviously it's like a pillar of the podcast. It's something that I started and launched this off of. And it's within my own like family, my own personal life. I've dealt with stuff. So when I hear people like yourself that can come on here honestly and openly and talk about their mental health and like where you are in your career and like you might feel stuck but you're still striving for this, like that's real, that's human. Like that's what I'm looking for when I want to talk to someone on a podcast because I'm going through the same stuff. And I think we're all trying to do the same thing in terms of like inspiring and helping people but doing it in our own way. And
Yeah.
I think that's like the coolest thing about doing a podcast is like the way that you do it's going to be different the way that I do it,
Yeah.
but we're both trying to do that. And I think that's what I look for when I'm trying to connect with people. And like, you never know how a podcast is going to go or how someone is. Cause like, I didn't know you before this. You didn't know me before this. And like, this has been an awesome conversation. Like, obviously we're like at the back end, but that piece of just feeling stuck, I'm like, that's awesome. Like, that's cool. Cause like, I feel that that's real. And like, not too many people can be open and honest about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's yeah. I'm gonna like I've tapped into my honest self, and I've always been honest, but I mean very, very upfront with how I'm feeling. Yeah, I'm sad right now. Like, get away from me. Just kidding. No, I mean, I'm just like I'm not gonna bullshit it. Like, you know what I mean?
It's like,
I'm
why?
why? I'm stuck. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to do many things. I'm trying to eventually go somewhere else and like kind of like you did in your story with college. I'm in the same position. I want to get out of my hometown. I want to do other things, and I'm going to do that. I just needed to build my own mental foundation, spiritual foundation, not perfectly, but more strong to the point where I can walk and be independent and at peace with myself. Like, I'm okay. I don't need a partner. I don't need anyone to tell me shit. I can walk with myself and have conversations with myself. I'm chilling. I'm good. I don't need anything. Only thing I need is mental and conscious peace. Like, I want peace within my brain. Then my inner is going to reflect in the outer.
Yeah.
Everything will have color, much more color, if I'm fulfilled within.
I think that's the right approach. Like if you're not, and the thing is too with that is like it's never going to be 100% perfect. Like
No,
we're
never.
human, like it's never you're never going to
That's not the
always
goal.
be the like healthiest version of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually. Like it we're here, we're learning, we're always growing. And if you're not, you need to reevaluate because you should be. Like and it's okay to be
Yeah.
stuck. It's okay to feel content in certain aspects of your life. It's okay to feel comfortable, but it's important to grow too, to leave those places. And like as people who are creative and like have different artistic values and ambitions and goals, like you have to be willing to try and then try different things. And the best advice that I've always received and kind of always leaned on is like just be consistent. Consistency always wins no matter what you think. And for me, I just always believe I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good. Like no matter what, like whatever happens, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna figure it out. I know myself enough to know that it's gonna work out. Like no matter what happens, like no matter it could be like the worst day of my life, but it's still gonna work out. Like, and then when it doesn't, say I pass on to whatever life is next. All right, I'm on to the next one. Like I'm not stressing about what comes.
Nothing. Yeah.
It's just I'm happy and I'm good and I understand that without the without the bad, I don't appreciate the good. And like that's good. It's like the yin yang type of stuff. Like it's important to have both. Like that's what makes life. That's like the duality of life. Like you need that understanding that things are never always going to be good, but like the good happens and you need to appreciate that and be present. And that's like one of the best parts about doing this podcast is that we get to
Yeah.
be present. We're not worried about our phones and who's texting us or what's on social
No.
media. We get to just like be human. And like we don't always get to do that anymore, like
No,
social
we
media and
don't.
stuff.
At the end of the day, finding and being at ease with the uncertainty is peace. And that's what people need to understand. There's always going to be uncertainty in life. Find peace within it. We do not have the answers to what's next. We don't. So go out, enjoy the beautiful, wherever you are, enjoy where you are, the beautiful air, the beautiful scenery, like look around you, open your eyes, like ground yourself. Like, I'm here on this beautiful planet. I'm going to make something. I'm going to create something. I'm going to notice the little things. And I'm not going to always predict and obsess about what's next. What about the journey? What about looking out the window and looking around? If you're on the plane heading to your destination, look out on the way. Look at the beautiful cloud. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Mhm.
look at the scenery around you. You know, your intuition knows how to get there.
100% agree. Gonna start bringing us home now. I do have one more question for you, but is there anything that we missed that you wanted to hit on really quickly before I get to my last question? I always like to ask my guests if
No,
there's
I
nothing.
think I said a lot.
No, it was a really great
I
podcast,
think
and
I said a lot.
I always like to just
A
offer
little
my
too
guests
much, but
in case. No, I thought it was great. I thought it was amazing.
I know. But
Um,
I get to I ramble on topics like this.
that's what
I could talk
podcasting's
all night
for.
about it.
It's podcasting. It's life stories. We're going into
No,
stuff
I know,
like
I know, I know.
it's. Trust me, I've had podcasts where people don't ramble enough. Like it's like it's a learning lesson. But like that's where I've become a better host. Is like sometimes I have to talk more, and sometimes I have to listen more. Sometimes it's a happy medium. Like you figure out the conversation, and like it's. I always appreciate when someone can go back and forth, and like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
have to ask you a bunch of questions. You can just go like because then I can as you're talking, I can think of stuff. I can respond to it, and that makes a full conversation where it's not so much of me interviewing you, but we get to have a conversation. That makes a cooler podcast.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Brennan, my last question for you is what would your advice be for someone who wants to pursue their passion?
My advice to people who want to pursue their own passion would be, I would. It's a good question. I have the answer. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, take your time. Not worried.
I feel like, you know, when I talk about the inner world, it's very important because I feel like whatever we want to do, this is what I believe. I believe that everybody is here for a different purpose. Finding your purpose and why you're here, you might never know really why, but intuitively you do know. And I would say the mind is the biggest deceiver. The mind can be the biggest deceiver. Um, Following your heart and your intuition comes through your heart, that I believe comes from God. And I believe that tapping into that energy of literally just existing and being in the present moment, more in your life, the answers will come to you much easier about where you want to go, and how to get to that passion. I think that finding the stillness in life and slowing your mind down, the thinking, the overthinking, the obsessing thinking is actually so destructive to us humans. Just thinking. It's not an idea. An idea has no judgment. Thinking is the response to an idea. So I have all these ideas that are brilliant, and thinking is a negative judgment upon the idea. It's horrible, and we do it too much. So I think the most basic thing, anybody who wants to go into something, who's passionate about something, who wants to pursue something, is really just, and how to get there. How to get there is trusting yourself that you know how to get there intuitively. It's all going to come to you. Just slow down, breathe. It
Perfect.
taps into what I said earlier. I just think the inner world is very significant, and that's what I have to say about that.
No, I agree, and I think that's a perfect bow to tie on this podcast. And
Yeah,
Brendan, I appreciate you coming on this podcast
yeah,
and coming out this way to do this and sharing with me things that you've gone through in your life and being vulnerable with me. Like, that's what I'm looking for when I do a podcast, is having someone that's willing to kind of meet me. At
yeah,
least like I could try, like, with a lot of people, and some people will meet me there, some people won't. It's like it's part of it. It's okay. Not everyone has the same emotional vulnerability, which is it's fine. Like, it's understandable, but it's nice when someone is willing to come on the show and do what you did tonight, and I really do appreciate you coming on here and doing that.
yeah. Thank you.
And if you want, look at this camera and plug where people can find you.
Yes. You guys can find me on social media, Brennan Fromm. I'm on Instagram. I don't really have a YouTube right now. Hopefully eventually I do with some projects I'm working on. And yeah, Instagram is my most active platform. So just find me on there, guys.
Perfect. And for you guys like your podcast, like the podcast, please rate, review, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your family, share with your grandma. Check it out, thecarrollconnection.simplecast.com. Also, we have Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the major listening platforms. If you like to watch your podcast, go on YouTube, search The Carroll Connection, or at Jared M. Carroll, and it'll pop right up. And if you want to be a guest or return as a guest, hit me up on Instagram at Jared M. Carroll or at The Carroll Connection. We'll set that up, as well as plug in the 5 pillars to create a meaningful life. You can only get that on Amazon. And if you buy the book and you like it, please submit a review on Amazon. It goes a long way in the algorithm. So, till next time, guys. Peace.